Hello and welcome to Fearless Authenticity with Jeanne Sparrow. This is my podcast about finding our success in who we truly are. These are conversations with people who know what that looks like, what that feels like, and what they've done to get there to make their dreams come true, follow their passions, and serve the world in the way that they were created to serve. I hope that this serves as an inspiration for all of us to do the same. Now, as I always say, I hope this gets deep because this is where we find the good stuff, but never get it twisted. This is about fun and the fun in life, because if it ain't fun, it ain't worth doing. So let's dare to be brave, be free, be you together. Now, I have multiple guests today. They are the founders of Be Greater Than, a lifestyle and wellness brand dedicated to guiding individuals in transcending their perceived limitations, empowering people to discover and embrace their authentic greater selves. And now you know why I invited them on the podcast, in addition to the fact that I love them. First, we will meet brand strategist, publicist, and experiential curator who is known as a master connector, forging powerful connections between talent, brands, and underrepresented groups in the entertainment industry. First, I am welcoming Randy Sebans. Hey, Randy.
Hey, it's been so long.
I know it's been a long time, and we're about to have a great conversation.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Next is renowned dancer, choreographer, and entrepreneur who we first saw So You Can Think You Can Dance, and who later joined Beyoncé's touring ensemble and became the face of Beyoncé and Jay-Z's joint album, Everything Is Love by the Carters. Welcome, Jasmine Harper. Hey, Jazz.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
So excited to have this conversation.
Yes, me too.
And last but not least is our instantly recognizable dancer from the iconic Single Ladies video. She served as Beyoncé's dance captain for an astounding 17 years and has now transitioned to being an actor, model, brand ambassador, and entrepreneur who mentors and advocates for self-love and self-worth. Please welcome Ashley, Everett, and all of the founders of Be Greater Than to the Fearless Authenticity podcast.
Hey girl, thank you for having us. Oh, hey everybody.
This is so awesome, y'all. You know what? Okay, so Randy and Ashley and I go way back, and I'm new to Jasmine, but you feel like home to me because of these two. And we first met on You and Me when I was hosting with Melissa and talking, and that was when, Ashley, you were starting your transition into your own brand separate from the Queen Bee, and Randy was helping you with that. And the vibes that y'all bring are just so positive, and I've been seeing all the posts about Be Greater Than. Tell me what Be Greater Than is, because it feels like y'all are preaching my sermon. So Randy, come off mute and tell me the story, baby.
Honestly, I'm going to let Jasmine kick it off because it really started with her. And I'll just say this: have friends that you can grow with, that you can learn with, that you can build with, because like who you are surrounded by is who you will be. You know, so this is something that started off with her surrounding herself with people that she knew that she could trust with a vision, and she shared it with us, and now you have what we have standing before you. Be Greater Than.
Oh, I love that. Jasmine, how did this come to be?
So, okay, this is going to seem very weird and random, but I kind of woke up and just this idea was planted on me, and it wasn't exactly what it is today, but I, at the time, just had my little one, and it was a time in my life, and this is coming after the pandemic, where it was very isolating. So already a big shift. But this is a time in my life where I, for the first time, had to sit down and sit with myself and not be on the road, be dancing 24/7, all of that I was used to. And so I found myself just pouring into my little one, as we do as first-time mothers, you know, just 24/7, literally nonstop throughout the night, all day. And I was like, I kind of felt like I was drowning in a way. I needed to set aside time to pour into me so that I was able to give back to her. And so I found this to be such a priority that I needed to put myself first for the first time ever. And I woke up and I was like, I can't be the only one that feels this way, whether it's a mom. There's so many things that people go through in life. And I think it can help if we just simply put ourselves first and pour into us. So I was thinking, like, as a dancer, how can I come up with this dance convention to help women or whatever it was? I just had so many ideas. And they were kind of all over the place. So I met with Brandy and Ashley, and I'm like, you guys, I have this idea. And I just kind of shared with them what came to me, which was just to create this space so that people can come together and know that it's okay to pour into yourselves. And I think it's a necessity to pour into yourselves to be able to give back to other people. And so we spoke, and months passed, and it kind of snowballed into what it is today, Be Greater Than. And since then, we've had such great success. We've aligned with some amazing people that are also on this journey. And I will pass it over and let them talk about the more like where it developed from there. But that was the start, just a thought and wanting to better myself and bring people along the journey with me. So
if I could add something in there, I'll say,
please.
It started with a thought, and then you add heart, passion, and intention. We literally set a date and was just like, no matter what, we're doing this. So just by us starting with the date, we dealt with imposter syndrome. We wondered if we could pull it off, if we were big enough. Like, I had I'm like, who do I think I am? I'm putting together a wellness retreat next weekend. What? Like, who's coming? And how are we going to make this happen? Like, I went through all of those thoughts. But just by having the date and the attention, we walked into something that was bigger than us, that like greatly exceeded our greatest expectations, and that wound up being necessary. So I think when you can have heart and intention, the possibilities are limitless. And now you take that heart and intention and you align it with the right resources and the right community and the right tribe, then you really make something happen that, again, is bigger than you.
Oh, wow. One thing that stands out to me, because y'all know, and Ashley, I know from having, interviewed you before and also seeing your social as well, that self-care, like what keeps coming out to me, and y'all know that's one of my things, because I truly, and the thing is, it's counterintuitive, because a lot of times I have said to people, when I say to people about self-care, they'll be resistant and say, on one hand, it's selfish, right? And then another thing I get is even the people who are into it are like, no, but we need community. And I'm like, there's nothing about this that leads to it not being community or being selfish, because what you said, Jasmine, that core idea of if I pour into myself, I'm able to show up better for the people around me. And I think that's what makes community better. Ashley, how did you come in it? What was your reaction when Jasmine was like, okay, I got this idea, I woke up with it? Oh,
okay. This is the exciting part for me because for me, I went through a big transition like during the pandemic, and honestly, like right before, like right after our last tour. Jasmine and I were both on it in 2018. 2018 was a rough year for me. So I ended that tour. I ended that relationship that I was in. I just was like, we need to start over. This is not it. Like this lifestyle that I'm living, the way I'm living, my happiness is not there. I need to pour into myself. I need to like reprioritize self. So I really started doing that at the end of 2018, all through 2019. That's how I met my current boyfriend now, who is a personal trainer. That was part of my self-care, self-love, pouring into me. I'm like, I'm going to work out. This is something I've never been consistent with. I always like danced, and that was my normal regular workouts. Like now we're going to be intentional. Let's learn how to weight train and like use machines properly and like, challenge my body in different ways. And I was just so inspired. I fell in love with the gym. I fell in love in general, like with a great human being who has just helped me realize that it's not selfish to pour into me, and it is necessary, and it makes me a better partner, a better business partner, a better daughter, a better friend, everything, So I really went through that transition prior to the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit, it was like, I loved it. Like, it was very black or white for people, like love it or hate it. I was like, this is everything. This is really the time I have never had in my life to be selfish or pour into me. I got my house together. I got like my mental together. My body got together. I was doing 2-a-day workouts. Like I was just like pouring into me, and my manifestation started like happening. Like Randy can attest for this. Like once we started traveling again in 2021, 2022, I was like, I think I'm ready to travel again, but I don't want to pay for it. Like I want it to be on somebody else's dime. I want it to be a brand ambassador. Like I'm manifesting this and it's going to happen. And it started happening. Like things were just coming to me left and right. And I was like, this is the outcome of pouring into me. Like, this is finally, I'm seeing it. I get it. It makes sense now. Like, and so when Jazz came to LA, we sat down at a ramen restaurant and she was like, I need to pour into myself differently. And I want to do it. I don't know how to do it by myself. I know it takes, other people and we can't do things alone. And I know you guys are on that same journey. How do we do this? And I was just like, yes.
I love how you guys weaved it together, plus your relationships and things like that. And Randy, you said something that I thought was really powerful when you were talking about. Let me see. Wait, let me track back to the piece I want to pull out. Oh wait, I hear a siren. I'm gonna let that pass.
In fact, can I close the window? Do I have a
Absolutely?
moment?
Yeah, we can cut that part. We can cut that part.
He lives downtown where all the chaos is.
Child, listen. And fresh air is important, though.
It is. It sure is.
All right, and we're back.
And we're live on Channel 5.
Right. And shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. Damn it. I'm gonna go down another road. It'll come back to me. The thing that I found. Oh, this is what it was. The thing you said, Randy, about how. Oh wait, damn! I lost it again.
You got it.
I had it. Okay, y'all. The sirens completely erased my brain, and we're like, "You don't need this anymore."
I gotta piggyback off Ashley. Ashley, have both of them.
Do you have something?
Yeah.
Okay, so piggyback off what Ashley said, and I'll come back to it.
Honestly, a theme I think that all of us had to really understand is that, like y'all both said, being selfish is okay. Because at the end of the day, everybody's being selfish. And the ones who win ultimately are selfish. They're self-fulfilling. They're self-loving, right? And it's not a bad thing. I read a book last year called Love, Freedom, and Aloneness, and they talked about that. And it's like, if we were all selfish and not doing what we thought we had to do to look like the good person and sit here like, well, look what I did. It's like,
please, because that's what we're really doing.
Literally. And so it's like when we're people pleasing to somebody else who's selfish and putting their needs first. And so we're willing to sacrifice our needs for theirs. And then we do it, and then we're not a cheerful giver, right? So I'm like, okay, let me learn to be intentionally selfish in a self-loving way, in a self-fulfilling way, so that I'm full. So when I have to give, I'm like that map of the airline that shows, okay, I can go here, here, and there, and there. That's what happens when you water yourself. You have multiple streams to pour out of. But if you don't water yourself and you only water everybody else, you're sitting here expecting that you're going to get the remnants of theirs and that the pieces of theirs will be enough to fill your cup. It never will be. So you're always going to be empty. You're always going to be running from behind. And I just had to learn, like, okay, if I want to run with a fair start, I have to then first put myself first. And then if I want to get ahead and be able to run with some cushion, I have to really pour into myself and pull a little less from where I'm pouring out so that I have more to pull from when I need that extra steam, when I need that extra push. And so learning to do that and put yourself first is actually the most self-loving thing you can do so that you can be in a position to help others. Because if you're selfless and you're not considering self, you have nothing to give to yourself or to others.
And the key with the cheerful giving, I remember when I was a kid, my mother told me it didn't count if I didn't do it cheerfully. And I think a lot of times we get stretched so thin doing the things that others expect of us and encourage us. And I think that must be where the authenticity piece comes in for you guys as well.
Yes.
And you talk about, I'm going to quote something from the Be Greater Than manifesto, because it's not just a mission, honey. That being authentic is a powerful force for change, and that in a world that often encourages people to dim their light, it's time to redefine what it means, what that humility means, and shifting the narrative toward celebrating and embracing one's individuality. I love all of that and how it dovetails off of what you just said. Jasmine, how does this reflect what you were going for, especially the piece about authenticity and embracing yourself regardless of what other people think? Because as performers, I would imagine, especially for you and Ashley, performing for somebody else's vision, executing somebody else's vision, that has been part of your work, your life's work. And now this is a shift, and not that that wasn't enjoyable, but can you talk about how that plays out for you?
Yeah, I think between the three of us, we all had this period in our lives and in our career where we were in the shadow of someone else or something else. And I think, like you said, it wasn't a bad thing. I think it was great building blocks for whatever our actual purpose is, what we are living in right now. I really feel that we're living in our purpose, on purpose right now. And that's why maybe the message.
Hey, there's the inspiration.
Yes.
Bring her in if you need to, girl.
Yes. Entering stage left. Okay,
Yep, quite literally. Girl, just put her on. This is part of the show, honey. This
yes,
right
sorry.
Here. Look at Precious. Does she even realize? She don't even realize she's an inspiration for all these great things. Oh.
So for the first time in my life, I had to show up for a piece of me, and in my little one, and I think that we were all just at a point where we knew it was okay to put ourselves first and not be in the shadow anymore. This is our time to chase after what we want for ourselves. We're so disciplined in showing up to work on time, showing up to our rehearsals on time, putting our 110%, and then leaving that, whatever it is, feeling empty at the end of the day. Why not take at least some of that and pour it into yourselves? And there's been such a beautiful alignment that came with it, with what we're attracting as a business into our lives as individuals.
That's right.
And so that's
the wisdom of the babies.
Yes.
But I want to tie that back into something Randy said earlier, and whoever wants to reply to this, please respond. Because another thing that I remember getting from my elders was, you are the sum of the people that you are around. And that was one of the first things you said off rip, Randy, was how you guys came together of a same mind. Can you talk about how this resonated the first time you heard it? Because it sounds like you were all thinking the same thing and going through different phases of it in becoming even more authentically yourselves and walking in your purpose. So can you talk about that resonance, Randy? You're not in the biggest right now, so we'll go to you and then you, Ashley.
Yeah, I think, if I could sum it up, 2023, and we talked about this offline before we started, was a challenging year. I've learned now in my wisdom and that now this new year to say it was challenging, opposed to subscribing to the idea that it was a struggle. It may have been tough, and it was very much like, at times it was hard and it was hurtful, but it was challenging nonetheless. And the thing about challenges and being at rock bottom is that you find that you're not alone, right? And so during those moments of rock bottom, it could be so easy for people who are watching from afar to look at you and see you be 20 feet from stardom and think, oh my God, you're living a life because you're on stage next to the greats. I can personally remember, and I've never talked about this with even Ashley or Jasmine, but like when I would go to the concerts, there'll be this dynamic shift because like I'd be backstage and I'm backstage with them, sometimes Blue Ivy's running around and stuff. And it's like, you're having a good time. But then I go out into the audience now, and it's just like, it's a big difference between being backstage, and seeing Michelle Obama walk by. And now you're just in the audience, and it's just like, now I'm just another number out here. Am I the same person that I was when I was backstage when I had that access? Am I the same person now off the stage watching the show as I was when I was on stage, like a part of the show? Am I the same person now that I don't have the title that I once had? Or can I learn to be greater than that title that I once had? And I think we all had to learn to be greater than those titles because like the pandemic first stripped us all of our duties and our titles, right? And made us all realize we are ultimately one. We all like are facing the same risks, the same challenges. So we have to unanimously unite if we want to make it through this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so now you take that idea of unity and community and you bring that into the now. And after we've had time to strip away the facades and the masks, say, okay, what's important now? Being greater than our wellness, our lifestyle, because that's who we really are when we strip away the rest of the stuff. When we got to sit home, we got to get to the core of who we were. And we fell in love with that. We fell in love with who we saw in the mirror. And we said, okay, you know what? I want to be more of that. And in order to do more of that, I want to do less of this. And so when we start to strip away the mess and get to the core of who we really were, we realized that, you know what? I love that I got the work ethic that I developed from that experience in the world and the industry, but now I want to put it into me. So I love that our days consist of now us three on the phone talking all days about wellness and our ideas and pouring into our business, showing up for our stuff. Even going to Atlanta, we did a wellness retreat. And it was the first time, Ashley and I was saying, like, we're traveling for our own selves, like our own business, not traveling like for somebody else working for them. Like, this is us traveling for, and you look at someone, I'm just throwing my friend's business out there, but she's been in the industry for 17 years. And it's like, you're just now traveling for yourself. It's not to say that the other travel wasn't great, but to now be in a space where it's like, no, yes, now I've learned from that, and I've experienced from that, but now I'm doing this for me. And by me doing it for me, it's going to allow me to directly impact so many others. I think when you're 20 feet from stardom, you're a variable that impacts, right? But when you're able to step into the spotlight yourself and embrace your own spotlight, you're able to create a platform for others. You get to do it your way, and then you get to invite others on the journey with you. So that's us. We created this platform to do it our way, to do wellness our way, and invite those who align with the way we want to do wellness to join us on the journey.
That is beautiful. And there's so much in that. Ashley, it looked like you're ready to unpack some of that, because a lot of this is, especially that length of time, that 17 years you spent on the road. I mean, something that struck me, what you said earlier, was you got your house together. Like, it didn't dawn on me until you said it. I'm like, yeah, you were on the road all the time. So how could you find that space?
Was the case for 17 years, you know? It's crazy. It's crazy. And I didn't realize this. And obviously it like has made me who I am today, and like created the work ethic that I have. And now like, I'm so grateful. Like I say it all the time and I joke. I'm like, I went to Beyoncé college and I like graduated with my master's. You know, that was my college experience straight out of high school, like in my senior year of high school, actually, specifically, you know? So it's insane. But I learned so much. I needed that time and, you know, that education and those experiences and all of that. And that's why Beyoncé supported me when I said I wasn't doing this next tour. She was like, I love you. Do you, girl? Like, good for you, you know, like good for you. So I'm getting emotional.
Listen, this is what this is about, because finding yourself, like this is the thing that I find interesting as a theme, because it's something that my clients have challenges with. And when I go speaking, girl, have your moment, girl, have it. Because a lot of times people will say, well, how do I find myself? How do I know what my fearless authenticity is? And I'm like, it's different for everybody, right? Like Jasmine, in this situation, you found it through your baby girl. Right? Randy, you found it 20 feet from stardom. Ashley, you found it, you know, being on the same stage.
Are you crying too?
Yep. Having moments, right?
Stay over there.
That like encouraged me to let it come.
Yeah.
All right, mind your business. Stay over there. You're in the valley.
I don't know. You know, these emotions, the older we get, it's just hard to keep them in. Okay.
Because you also know what you did to earn those tears.
Yeah, we have earned everything. Okay, we worked hard to get here.
So for me, like, I'm interested to hear how you help other people find this. Like, so I know you guys have had your first retreats, and you're working with brands and doing things. What does Be Greater Than help people do in their wellness and in their, finding their self-worth, their self-value? What is your process for finding your authenticity?
I'll say it's actual tangible things. I'm gonna let like the girls go into some of those things, But overall, just by even creating a platform and coming up with a name like Be Greater Than, just off the grip, that charge, that challenge to be greater than alone just brings intention to the idea that, hey, my wellness should be a priority. So just to even make that a thought for people to think, like, to even consider that,
that becomes the manifestation.
Yeah, literally. It's just like, okay, so what can I do? And it looks different for everybody. It doesn't have to be this luxury thing. It doesn't have to be a big spa day. Ashley talks about this 5, 10, 15-minute rule that she talks about recently, and I love it. It's something simple like that. Ashley, talk about that.
Yeah, I've started applying it into like my life. You know, it's
and I use it too because of her.
That everyone should apply. If it takes less than 5, less than 10, less than 15, even 20 minutes to do it now. Do it immediately. Put that away. Wash that dish, you know, like do the laundry, do your makeup really quick, whatever it is, you know, just applying those things, like creating a lifestyle, really a lifestyle. You know, my boyfriend is a huge part of my reason. Seeing him wake up every day at 5 and go train other people or get his workout in before he has his 8 o'clock sessions and stuff, like prioritizing his well-being over everything so he could be good for the clients, because clients unload on him and act like he's a therapist and he's like, okay,
because sometimes emotions move through your body.
Yeah, you know? And like when you're working out, like that's what happens, you know. So like that's a part of something that he has to carry as in his profession. So he's been a huge inspiration to me. Now fitness is a part of my lifestyle, and if I don't work out, I don't feel as mentally clear and driven, and I don't make as good of choices throughout the day, what I eat, what I drink, you know, like everything. It just it's a lifestyle.
And so go ahead, finish.
Yeah. I was going to say, going back to your original question, you said like, what is Be Greater Than and what will people experience in our one retreat? Because we've only had one little soft launch retreat. We gave them movement. I don't even want to call it a dance class, but Jasmine and I taught a confidence movement class. You know, get used to your body, get used to looking at yourself in the mirror and liking what you see. Hold those shoulders back, hold that chin up.
Just talking about it, I'm like
that confidence building. So we did one of those. We had like a trauma breakthrough where a guy had a cushion and the people we didn't get to experience it. Yeah, a pad, and they were pushing hitting on the pad and saying, what were they saying? They were saying
they got to hit it and scream until they felt like they healed their inner child. And it wasn't meant to be cute. It was just like, scream, let it out. You had somebody who lost their father during COVID, someone else who had just lost their romantic partner a couple months prior to, you know, due to a terminal illness. And it was just like their chance. It's like, how many times do we go to a rage room and get to, you know, actually let it out? So to have that session of just from a martial arts instructor to just say, I just want to hit this thing out. It was so, again, y'all know my baby. I was just holding the pads and I was like, I need a moment. I had to like keep leaving the room to like go cry, because I'm like, this is tough to see. And again,
and everybody a stranger too. And
I was just about to say that.
Guard down and was so vulnerable, hugging each other, you know, like it was such a community, like family environment. It was really, really beautiful. And
the first person who did it, literally, like they did it and they didn't like really cry. They just hit her a few times, like, I healed. And so the next person did it and got emotional. She's like, oh, okay, so it's safe to go there. Okay, he's like, so let's start again. So now you do it and you really go there. And they really got they're like, why am I emotional? Why am I crying? And it wasn't about the tears. It was about the vulnerability. It's that people who, again, came in as strangers. These are adults. These aren't kids. These are grown folks who are anywhere from like early 30s to like mid 50s who came and just left as a unit, left as a body. We talk about how before we even left the building, and we left within the hour after it was over, people were already putting up whole reels from the day of the impact it made. And like, I thought I was just coming to support this event for my friends, and I didn't know I was going to rehab. I didn't know I was going to therapy. And it's just like, wow, again, like we didn't either. We literally were just like,
pass the lemon around, and we all had to say what we're greater than. And like in our moment in time and what we're experiencing in life in this era, you know, and even that, just saying, me being able to say, I am greater than Beyonce's dance captain, like was here I go again. Here I go again. But like releasing that, being able to say that, I am also an entrepreneur. I'm an actor. I'm a business owner. I'm all these other things, but a lot of people want to box you in whatever. So doing that was Jasmine's game, and it was like, got everybody.
And so Jasmine, what has that journey been like for you, especially since this idea was your genesis? What has this process been like for you, finding that core? And the reason why I ask you this too is because it comes from motherhood, and so many women are challenged when they become mothers for the first time, especially, and lose themselves in the motherhood. And listen, there is nothing wrong and no judgment on any choice anybody makes. But I do think that a lot of the choices we do make, we judge ourselves, and we do get judgment, even if it's subtle.
We are all clearly living this currently. We are on the journey too, so I really like, one tear just brings back all the tears. Like, you can't hold it in after that. But we are we are living it, we're not just telling other people to do it, or you should be doing this, or do this, buy our program, spend your money over here, X, Y, and Z. Like, we are walking proof, doing it with you, holding your hand while you join us in it.
Wanted to go back to your journey toward your authenticity and discovering yourself as separate from all the things that you've done, and finding that, because so many people have a challenge finding who they are separate from their work. Like, usually, and I'll share this with you, and I don't know if I said it when I asked this to Randy and Ashley, but a lot of times when I ask people to talk about what their value is to the world, what they think they bring to the world, who they really are, a lot of times the first things people will say is they'll give me their job title.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what is it? Maybe you are meant to, interface with the world through the purpose of your work, but what is it about you? What is the value inside you, and how do you get to that? And so I'm wondering how you have interfaced with that particular discovery for yourself.
I think that for me personally, I'm still in it, because I feel like I'm still in a transitional phase in my life right now. So I think that I'm like walking this journey, but trying to also pull along anyone that is also on this journey, or thinking about being on this journey, or, whatever stage that looks like to anyone. And Ashley knows, and this is my thing that triggers me, like how much I love to dance. I've been dancing since I was 3. So not being able to dance and literally doing this all day is very hard. I'm the only one taking care of her right now. So it's hard not dancing. And I know that sounds so silly. Like, it's just
no, it doesn't. It doesn't sound silly at all.
Not
and I think what we're experiencing here is and I didn't even know this was what this podcast was going to turn into.
We're all here.
But it's what it looks, girl. Right? It's what this looks like when you are trying to reach your purpose, right? Yeah. Because it changes and it feels different. And it's like, and it's clear that all of you are on that journey. You know that you know where you're going. And you also know that it's changing. And that's the hardest part, right?
It's a hard pill to swallow. And the beautiful part about it is I believe so much that everyone is exactly where they're supposed to be. These seeds were planted when we were children, I believe. And, we went on this journey and we crossed paths years ago, over a decade ago, for whatever it is that we are supposed to be doing in this moment and in the future. So I think that in my, this stage that I'm in my life right now, it's a hard pill to swallow, like not being able to dance as much as I am used to, because that's all I've known since I was 3, and just really sitting down. And so I'm still trying to navigate that, I guess, in what my purpose is or what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like, I'm trying to figure that out. But I think the beautiful part about it is like my faith through it all. I know that it's going to be okay. I know that it's going to work out. And I feel that I'm just doing what I'm being led to do right now. in the best way that I know how. Like, I think that I was very lucky. I didn't have like too bad postpartum depression and all of those things. So I got really lucky in that way. And I have been mentally and physically strong enough to push forward despite some of the things that I was, the challenges that I was given after having Leilani. So yeah, I'm still trying to navigate that. And I don't know if I have an exact answer, but
that is the answer.
Yeah.
I think that is the answer.
I said the same, Jazz. I was like, we're all on this journey with everyone that we want involved in this, so we're not people with us. Yeah, we're doing it with them together.
A big thing that we had to learn was really that a part of being greater than is even being greater than is something as simple as yesterday or as early as today, as the past in any form. So to be able to say, you know what? Yeah, today was, again, a challenge. It was tough. But you know what? If I could just make it through the day, I don't care if I have 2 cents in my account right now. There's a possibility that I can wake up and walk into a situation tomorrow where I have more than what I need. And that'll be enough to hold me over to the next moment. And if I could just have faith that I can make it from A to B, then I know that at some point I'll make it from A to Z. And I have to trust that. And it don't mean when I get to Z, I'm done, right? Because life is cyclical. So we continue to go over and over and over, and we continue to learn. But the thing is, we're not starting from A again. It's like, yeah, I may have had to go back to E, but it's like, I'm not going back to the start. I'm coming with some more experience this time, which is why I'm coming with E, and E for experience, not emptiness. I'm not coming broken down. I'm like coming actually build something better. Like, seriously.
Bars.
He over here got a sermon and everything. Randy. I'm sorry. We're not trying to wreck your flow, bro. We over here in the amen corner. Come on.
Okay.
Come through, Randy C. Bonds.
No, seriously. You have to learn to just shift your perspective. And that's what I had to learn. Like, I know on the other side of be greater than, last year, like I can't say it enough. Not just last year, but the last season, like the last several years, was tough. I literally got stripped of everything, from my career to my place of living to my car to my health. Like, I got to the point last year where I caught hay fever like twice, and I literally couldn't see and drive. And it took Ashley and like my other friend, they'd be like, I'm taking you to the doctor. As men, we don't prioritize that because, like, I gotta work, I gotta perform, I have to survive ultimately, right? And we get so caught up in survival that we're not willing to do what we need to do to survive and take care of ourselves. It's like survival is literally paying the bills. And it's just like, but if I don't make sure my health is okay, then how do I get out to pay the bills? And if I can pay the bills, my health ain't okay, and I lose my life, then what was it all for? I can't enjoy the fruit of my vine, then what am I doing it for? And so I think, I made it from darkness to light, not because I walked into $1 million. I just literally shifted my mindset, and I said, I'm not subscribing to struggle. It was a challenge, which means I can overcome it. I can do something about it. I wasn't dealt a bad hand. I was dealt a hand. Now, what I do with it, how I play it, it's up to me. I'm reading a Rich Paul book, and he talk about rolling dice. Many people think it's just a game of luck. He said, no, when you understand there's some technique and some skill involved, you know how to then get the results. And I mean, it's going to work out every time, but you know how to get the results in your favor more often than not because you have some skill and you're not just throwing it out there. These two aren't just dancers who just go by what they feel. Yes, they do, but they say, okay, I love to express myself this way, so let me get the training required to have the technique required to do this sustainably and do it well. And so that's what life is for all of us. When it comes to saying, okay, I have a natural this and that, I love it, I want to hone it. Now let me go ahead and do what I need to do to equip myself with the tools I need to be skillful at it. Now I want to do it with love and with intention. And that's the walk in the purpose part, because by me moving in intention and love, that's inspiring somebody else. So however I move in intention and love, whether that's through speaking, dancing, cleaning, whatever it may be, that's going to touch somebody, not because they're doing they want to do what I want to do, but because they want to feel how I feel. They want to move how I move, like theoretically, not physically, right? So if I can just do what I do in love with intention, that's enough to empower everybody else to do what they're supposed to do with love and intention.
And you know what I think is really powerful? That was beautiful. I love those analogies. But one thing that I think is a theme through all of this and is evident in your emotions is that people often look at each other, all of us, and I don't think it matters what we do. People look at each other as and seeing the surface of what happens. And I think for those of us who work in entertainment, who have a certain level of notoriety and stardom and known in a certain way, the reality that you all still feel the same things and are affected by the way that people see it. And it's not all, bless you, that's the truth, because you sneezed on it. It's not always what people perceive it to be. And I love that y'all are stripping away the I'm not going to call it a facade because it's real, but you're stripping away other people's impressions of who you are and where you are. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Well, I was just going to say that is a life that we had to live for so long. Like, no matter what was going on behind the scenes, kind of your analogy of being backstage versus being in the audience, Randy, same with us. Like, we could have X, Y, and Z going on the second before we step on stage, but on stage we have to portray as, you know, this character. Our lives are amazing, we're having the time of our lives, everything is good, and that's hard. That's a lot to carry, especially years at a time. And so maybe that's where all these emotions are coming from, just bottled up feelings that we've never been able to be vulnerable enough, or never had a space to be vulnerable enough to express ourselves in that way. And so I think that's the beautiful thing about Be Greater Than. It's giving us a place, a safe space to unapologetically be ourselves and express ourselves and love on ourselves.
And I think you guys are the perfect messengers for it because of that. That's the thing that I think is really interesting about what you've touched on right there, is that if everybody is thinking your life is better than, or because better than theirs because of what they see you doing, and then you pull down the curtain and say, well, that was a character, that was something I had to do. Yes, I loved it. And at the same time, this is what I am. Then all of a sudden, if you're giving yourself permission to do that, and if your life doesn't look the way other people think it does because of the performance part of it, then all of a sudden, don't we all have permission?
Yes.
Yes. I literally ran into this. It's so random.
Let's all be authentic.
I've been trying to tell the people, Ashley. I've been trying to tell the people that don't want to listen because they can't figure it out.
You have, people need to see an example first.
Yes.
And those are really the fearless, authentic leaders.
Yeah.
And we're just apparently, I guess, willing to put ourselves out there like that, you know?
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I was saying I randomly ran into Viola Davis last week. All right. And I was telling her, I was just like, thank you for opening the door so that people like Taraji can run through it, right? And be able to say, like, you know, Viola's been talking about this and saying, like, y'all call me the Black Meryl Streep, but my check don't look the same. So, you know, because she's someone who's at the top of her game, then she can say that. And now Taraji can say, hey, she ain't lying. Right. And you see it trickles from the top on down to the bottom. It's just like right now, Beyonce and the country wave, right? If people like, I mean, she's a country girl.
Even with Beyonce and Taylor Swift, you know?
Yeah. Like, it's literally, it's 100%.
It's like, and I hate to bring up Cat Williams on this, but he called it at the beginning of the year. He said that this year is going to tell the truth. And I think what a lot of people are missing about it, because we get so attached to the shade room aspect of the truth, of the scandals. And yes, there's a lot of dark things that happen that need to come to light. And I believe that justice will happen in any kind of situation. But the thing that I think a lot of people are missing, it's also about each of our own truth. And whether or not we're walking in what other people want us to do, that people pleasing you brought up, Ashley, earlier, and what is actually serving the world, because there's a difference between the two. And I think that what's fascinating is how the more I have these conversations with people, the more it's becoming apparent that's what it is. And I think that the power of what you're saying, just like what you just said, Randy, when it comes to people like Viola talking about it, Taraji talking about it, then people start to see that these constructs we've had of what we think life is supposed to be and what we think we're supposed to be doing to be successful is not.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, Jasmine.
Well, I just had to say this one thing. I don't know if this comes like after becoming a mom or what, but I also see everyone as like little babies now. Like I see them as their youngest self. And I think the big misconception with social media is like that celebrities are these superhumans. Like, no, they're humans. They have their problems. They're going through things, their emotions. So to attack people and all of that and just put them on this pedestal of like being so much more than just a human being, which is what we all are at the end of the day, can be a little toxic. And yeah, that was my
we all feed into it. We all feed into it. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's all breaking down, and that's what we're seeing now. And I love that you guys are coming down on the side of how it looks to go through the process, because I don't know that we all, because I'm guilty of this. I'll go off, but that's the Capricorn in me. I will go off in the corner, and I will go. If you don't see me, I'm working on me, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's hard to do that in community. It's hard to do that in public, and I salute you for the effort of doing that and showing it, because it also shows people how to do it. It's really easy.
Take care of themselves. We're not taught that. So we're taught to give, and and suck.
We celebrate the grind and the struggle. We celebrate that. And so we wear like a badge of honor, like, look how hard I work. I on some team, no sleep. I grind to the day I die. And it's just like, and you're literally gonna do that. Like, and then you read people like Steve Jobs, you read and he talks about on his deathbed. It's just like, all of my success means nothing in this moment. I'm like losing it. I'm losing my life. I'm dying. So all of the hard work, I'm at that place now where I don't, how people say, I wish somebody would. I'm like, actually don't. I wish they wouldn't. Like, I actually only want to wish good things and manifest positive things and peaceful things, because I don't want that. I don't want that struggle. I don't want that challenge. I actually prefer the soft life. Now, I'm conscious enough and wise enough and mature enough now to realize that, like, life is all things. We've learned that it's this and that, not this or. So there's going to be soft life and hard life. A turtle has a hard shell for a reason, because there's a time to go into a shell to protect itself. But it's also wise enough to know I can't only exist in my shell. I have to be vulnerable enough to trust that life isn't out to get me. But there are times when somebody else needs to win at my expense. A tiger isn't trying to be evil and malicious. It just has to eat. So what does it do? It participates in the circle of life. So if I understand everybody is participating in the circle of life, I take less personal. I don't wear it on my sleeve. I don't allow it to stress me out. I'm like, ooh, that's unfortunate. Ooh, that hurt me. Oh, darn, I really wanted to align with you, but you show me that I can't. So experience is saying I need to stand over here, but I still love you and wish you the best from afar. And I can have boundaries for myself and still love you too. But love myself enough to say my boundaries are more important, because you're being selfish right now, and I'm okay with that. So I have to be selfish too, so that I can protect me and preserve myself. Not to protect me from you and to make you a threat. But if your actions are presenting you as a threat and not a challenge, then I have to pay attention to that, because I feel one life.
Right. And it's what's in flow and what's not in flow. Y'all, I could talk to y'all forever. I cannot wait for the next Be Greater Than retreat and next event and next things y'all do, and to see how you grow this as a movement, because this isn't just, a business. I feel like y'all have really created a movement that will sustain you all and help you reach your next levels, and all of us too with you. And I also am reminded, Randy, when you just said how we celebrate grinding and that kind of thing, there is a woman, and her name is escaping me now, but she calls her work the Nap Ministry, and she wrote a book about it. And she was like, we need to rest, because that grind culture is also how people have kept us down as a race of Black folks too. Like, it's a kind of a white supremacist construct. But
Wait, can we go there for a second, please? I know we're running out of time,
absolutely. No, go ahead.
When I say that is one of the things I talk about the most, like the pandemic definitely woke me up and let me know that like I am no exemption, unfortunately, of as long as I'm Black and I'm going to be Black forever. I have to understand that there will be misunderstandings around me. There's going to be a perception that I'm a threat when I'm not. There are going to be, challenges that I have to overcome. And so I've accepted that. But what I have not accepted are these false narratives and these systems that have told us something different. Because where were we lazy? We were never allowed to be lazy. We literally had to work. We had to build this country. So it's just like, where's this narrative that we were never afforded that option? If you did, you were killed. You were beat. You were not allowed to be. So if we accept
how you have
that
lazy slaves? You can't have lazy slaves.
It doesn't exist.
It does not. So when you rewrite that narrative and realize like, oh, we've always been workers. We've always been hard working. Actually, so I want to actually experience like not having to work so hard to earn. I know when I walked away from the industry some years ago and I dropped my clients and my title, it went through this thing of like, who am I now? And I found who I was now and what I do, aside from what my titles were. And when I could tap into that and realize like, oh, those narratives, I am literally not what they said I was. This is who I am. So now I love everybody. I love those who are for me and those who are against me. But I still can't take even the greatest of those. I can't take their words at heart more than I take my own. What the man in the mirror says to me is what has to matter the most. That has to be number one. Because at the end of the day, only he knows the innermost depths of who I am. And that's all of us. And so when we can have those honest talks like Issa Rae in the mirror, that's a funny moment we look at her insecure, but it's like, that's real. Like to really talk to yourself in the mirror and be able to look at yourself and be honest with yourself, that is the most authentic and vulnerable you can be. And if you can be honest with yourself, being vulnerable to everybody else is a walk in the park.
I love it. All right. My last couple questions I always ask everybody. So I'm going to go through the room. I'm going to start with you, Jasmine. What do you dream of doing? Where do you dream? If you want to speak about it in terms of be greater than first, absolutely. But just what do you dream of doing?
I don't know if it's through be greater than or through my dancing or how ever it will come about, but I do just want to, and this is a very cliche answer, but just help the world in some sort of way, bring more love into the world. Right now, there's a lot going on, there's a lot coming to light, and I think that, again, just watching Leilani grow and seeing where we start off from and like how she gets scared now. She didn't get scared before, but these worldly things start to come into our life and just mold us into what we are today. And life can be hard and challenging. It's not always great things that mold us into who we are. So if I could just bring an ounce of love to one person each day or whatever that looks like, through dance, through Be Greater Than, a compliment.
You, because you do already.
I really do. That's what makes me happy, is just making other people happy.
Y'all so sweet. Y'all hearts are so beautiful. Ashley, what do you dream of doing?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think I feel like I have a cliche answer too, but I just dream of being a positive inspiration in this world, kind of same, to lead by a good example, like be one of those great examples that people. I told Jasmine and Randy this at the beginning of the year. I was like, I don't really have a New Year's resolution, but like, this is one of the things that I'm like channeling. And I was like, I want to be the woman I aspire to be, like trying to just be that woman that I aspire to be. And that woman doesn't even necessarily exist because like no one is perfect, So like my mom is in that category, like Oprah, like tons of people, but like, of course, Beyoncé, whatever. But like that woman doesn't exist. It's the person that I aspire to be, who's just like the woman
you're becoming.
Yes. So
I love that. And Randy, what do you dream of doing?
Honestly, I just want to continue to create safe spaces for people to practice authenticity and really practice what it means to be greater than, like we're genuinely doing that. in our lives daily, and I want to travel the world doing that. Like, I want to not travel the world for the sake of luxury, but traveling really opens up your mind. It expands your human experience, and it gives you the chance to just release and breathe. And we need that. We hold so much in when we're like, stressed and just trying to survive. And I want people to get the chance to experience what it means to really make wellness a lifestyle and not just a luxury. Because when you do, just life becomes easier. It don't become perfect. It becomes easier to navigate, easier to understand, and easier to go with the ebbs and flows of it.
I love the idea that wellness is, because I do think people think of wellness as a luxury. The other thing I think travel does is it connects us. It breaks down barriers. The more we see that we are alike. And this is the conundrum of authenticity, right? It's like the deeper we go into ourselves and understanding what gifts we have, we're also better able to see other people's gifts and also see where we intersect with that. So with that in mind, now I'm going to find my final question. When do you, Randy, feel that you are at your best, truest, most authentic self?
Oh, honestly, I'll keep it simple and say, when I feel safe, when I feel safe and supported, whether that's safe alone, safe with some people I love and know, or safe in a new environment, but when I feel safe, and I can really let my guards down, I feel like it's the equivalent to y'all as women being able to come and let your bra down and take your wig off. It's just like, to just breathe, right?
Baby, listen, when you get them tourniquets off your chest, hunty. All right.
Yes, I imagine it's the same thing. There's nothing like liberation for me, because for so long I suppressed who I was in exchange for who I thought I had to be. And I accepted that wearing a mask was something I was gonna have to do once I made it to my grave. As Black people, we talk, what happens in this house stays in this house, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And it's just like, I really got to experience that in real time and see, like, yeah, what happens in Vegas literally stays in Vegas. And I don't like that. So in order for me to like be free and to be happy, I gotta live authentically. In order for me to do that, I have to feel safe. So I can't surround myself with people or put myself in places that don't feel safe, because I don't want to revert back to somebody I used to pretend to be. I like being me. And so in order to do that, I have to feel safe. And that's when I feel like my most happiest, authentic self.
And what I will say is I'm glad that I have always seen that light from you.
Oh, thank you. No, you're someone who's, again, supported me from day one and has been like one of those people who's let me see that it's not just, that it's not just the people I bring to the table. For so long, I thought the people that were I was bringing to the table were the plug. And I think sometimes they were, but I had to realize recently, like, they may have been a plug, but I'm the generator that keeps the power on and keeps the lights flowing. So it's just like, as long as I understand that, I'm grateful to walk in my role and play my part and be the piece of the puzzle that I am. I understand that my piece still has a part and plays a bigger part of the, it adds to the bigger picture, it still completes it. So I don't have to be the whole picture, but even if I'm just a part, I'm happy to do my part.
Yes, I love that. I use that analogy too. Ashley, you're next. When do you feel that you are at your best, truest, most authentic expression of you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, same, Randy, when I feel safe and when I'm comfortable and when my cup is full, like when my cup is full. So when I have done all of the right things to pour into myself in the right way, then I feel like I show up my best. I feel like I'm my most honest, but in a good way. And maybe not, when my cup is half empty, I'm like too honest. And it's like, people don't want to hear that delivery, So yeah, like I feel when my cup is full, when I'm comfortable, when I have poured into myself properly. I think I am my most authentic self. And I'm really working on doing that like daily. It's a daily practice, I just want to get there every day. So
girl, I want to get there too.
Yeah.
Really, I want to get there too.
Yeah.
And finally, Miss Jasmine, when do you feel like you are at your best, truest, most authentic version of you?
That is a very tough question. I've sat here and listened to all of these and trying to come up with something.
I know, right?
It's hard. Right? That's a hard question. I agree with everything that they said, but I don't know if I have my own. I just feel
like on stage, girl.
Yeah, when I'm on stage, but it's like I found those moments, and I haven't been on stage. when I'm at peace, when I pour into my cup, when I feel the same. Yeah. I'm sorry, there's a horrible ending to our.
No, it's not. You know why? Because we are always exploring it.
Yeah.
And we're always on the journey. The journey is never ending.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I like sometimes my favorite piece of punctuation is the ellipsis, the ...
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just don't have the exact answer. So maybe
sometimes it's to be continued.
And you also said earlier, Jasmine, that you are in a transition. You're a new mom, even though Leilani's walking around and doing her things and starting her terrible twos, which don't seem that terrible.
New stages every day. I'm like,
right,
like a new mom every day, I'm sure.
And you've also talked about how you're exploring what it means not to be on stage anymore. It's okay to say, I don't know when I feel that, because you're different now.
Yeah, everything's a lot different. But I think when I make it through a day, successfully, she's fed, I was able to pour into myself and she's happy, healthy. That is an accomplishment for me, just making it through the day and, getting ready for the next day. So yeah, maybe I don't know right now. It definitely was on stage and dancing. But right now I'm not sure. But I will let you know when I feel that in the future and I find out. I will let you know.
All that means is we just gonna have to do a part 2 or partner together and do a retreat together or something or whatever.
Yeah.
Like there's a reason why we're in this room together. And I appreciate you all for sharing, being so honest and authentic, and for helping other people to do it in a real tangible way. I'm not surprised that it's the three of y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for giving me some time today.
This is a beautiful platform. Thank you for having it, creating it, and having us on it.
Yes, my pleasure and my honor. So if there was ever a movement that I wholeheartedly endorse, it's Be Greater Than. Being focused on self-care and authenticity is so in my wheelhouse, and I love what they're doing with it, and I can't wait to see what they do with it next. Few of my highlights from this conversation, and there were so many. I love that 5, 10, 15 rule that Ashley said. If it takes less than 5, 10, or 15 minutes, then go on and do it immediately and get that sense of satisfaction from it. In other parts of work, rejecting the grind culture that Randy talked about, and switching, thinking of the word selfish when we're talking about self-care, because those aren't the same thing. So if you're going to be selfish with self-care, think about it as self-love, self-fulfilling, falling in love with yourself, making it a lifestyle instead of a luxury. And of course, Jasmine, who came up with the idea, talking about putting yourself first, no matter what else is going on in your life, and creating the space for yourself to do it, knowing that it is okay, and finding the support to be able to do that. I love that we also had a conversation about the effects of the pandemic, and because I don't think that's something we talk about enough. And even in the positive sense, right, of what came out of it from being locked down, and how Ashley talked about the shift in self-care for herself, and Jasmine also talking about not knowing how to pour into herself differently, and realizing that you're not alone, and that self-care can be something you do in community and support each other with. And I love how Randy talked about how the pandemic showed us that we can be greater than our titles and what we do for a living, because we were all stripped of the things that gave us busyness every day. And a lot of that is where we find the meaning in our life. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when that was taken away, then we had to kind of examine, who we are beyond that, and also realize we're all facing the same risks, the same challenges. And when it comes to developing, I loved how they talked about coming out of the shadow of someone else or something else, and using those experiences as building blocks, as instead of having to recreate everything, and understanding that we are greater than any moment in time in our lives, no matter how high or low it might be. And how Ashley talked about releasing what was to embrace what else is coming, whether that's in who we are and what we're becoming, and not allowing other people to box us in such a way. And I love the transparency that Jasmine shared about being in transition and knowing that everybody is exactly where they're supposed to be. Because a lot of times we don't accept when we are in transition and try to rush through it, but instead acknowledging that challenge, navigating it, and having faith that it will all work out. And finally, and I love this, we've talked about this before. I think we've all heard it from our parents in some sort of way, but I love that Randy said the piece about having friends you can grow with, that you can learn with, that you can deal with anything that comes with, because who you are surrounded by is who you will be. You get to pick your community, and I think Be Greater Than is a wonderful one. I wish you guys the best on that. Please check them out on social media. Jasmine Harper, Ashley Everett, Randy Bonds. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate you, my Fearless Authenticity listeners. Thank you for your attention and your support. I would not do this without you, and I could not do this without my amazing production team. Thank you to Vicky, Lisa E., Wayne, Jess, Evie for your hard work every single week. I hope that you will rate, review, download, subscribe, share, do something with this episode everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. It does help to expand our reach. And if you want to join our community, I welcome you to do so. Sign up for my newsletter at fearlessauthenticity.com to find out everything that's happening with this podcast and other projects. Also, follow me on social media at Ms. Jeanne Sparrow on YouTube for this pod, the video version, plus Facebook and TikTok at that same handle, and at JM Sparrow on Instagram, and the artist formerly known as Twitter, X. This has been Fearless Authenticity with me, Jeanne Sparrow. See you again soon.